Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to stop what you are doing. I need your full attention because what is unfolding right now in the world of women's basketball is not just another sports story. This is not just another controversy that will blow over in a news cycle. What we are witnessing is the systematic unraveling of a professional sports league at the exact moment it should be celebrating its greatest triumph. The WNBA is imploding, and the people at the top seem completely oblivious to the destruction they are causing. Let me paint the picture for you. Just when you thought things could not possibly get worse for this league, just when you thought the controversies had reached their peak, just when you thought the leadership might finally course correct, it is about to get significantly worse. We are now in territory that I never thought we would see. We have United States senators calling for federal investigations. We have congressional attention that borders on obsession. We have a league that has somehow managed to turn what should be a golden era into an absolute catastrophe. And at the center of all of this chaos, as always, is the treatment of one player who has single-handedly dragged this league into the spotlight: Caitlin Clark. The name that has become synonymous with everything right about women's basketball and, paradoxically, everything wrong with how the WNBA handles success. Let us start with the breaking news that dropped just hours ago. Another senator has entered the arena. Another elected official has looked at what is happening in the WNBA and said, "This requires federal attention." Senator Richard Blumenthal, a Democrat from Connecticut, is now publicly calling for a federal investigation into the sale and relocation of the Connecticut Sun. Let that sink in for a moment. A sitting United States senator wants the federal government to investigate how a WNBA franchise sale was conducted. This is not normal. This is not how professional sports leagues operate. When you have members of Congress from both sides of the political aisle scrutinizing your business dealings, when you have senators demanding investigations into your transactions, something has gone catastrophically wrong. And yet here we are watching the WNBA stumble from one self-inflicted wound to the next. The Connecticut Sun, one of the most storied franchises in the league, is being sold and relocated to Houston. The deal is reportedly worth around $300 million. The buyers are the ownership group behind the NBA's Houston Rockets, and they plan to transform the Connecticut Sun into the Houston Comets. Now, on the surface, reviving the Comets name carries tremendous historical significance. The original Houston Comets were the dynasty that built the foundation of the WNBA. Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops, the first 4 championships in league history. That legacy means something. But the manner in which this relocation is being executed has sparked outrage that extends far beyond the typical complaints of displaced fans. Senator Blumenthal is not merely upset about losing a local team. He is alleging that there was improper influence in the sale process. He is suggesting that the league put its thumb on the scale. He wants federal investigators to examine whether the rules were followed, whether the process was fair, whether Connecticut was given a legitimate chance to keep its franchise. Now, will this investigation actually stop the relocation? The experts are skeptical. The consensus seems to be that once the WNBA grants league approval, which appears to be a formality at this point, the move will proceed regardless of political pressure. The Houston Comets are expected to begin play at the Toyota Center alongside the Rockets by the 2027 season. The wheels are in motion, the ink is drying on the contracts, and the people of Connecticut are being told in no uncertain terms that their decades of support mean nothing compared to a $300 million check. The Connecticut Sun released a statement attempting to address the emotional devastation of their fan base. They expressed gratitude for the generations of support. They acknowledged that this is an emotional moment. They promised to honor the legacy that was built. But let us be honest with each other. Those are empty words. That is corporate speak designed to soften the blow while the franchise packs its bags and heads south. You cannot honor a legacy by abandoning the people who created it. But here's where the story connects to something much larger. This is not an isolated incident. This is part of a pattern. This is one thread in a tapestry of dysfunction that has characterized the WNBA's leadership for years. And the common denominator in so much of this chaos has been the treatment of Caitlin Clark. Think back to last season. Think about the controversies that erupted around how Caitlin Clark was officiated. Think about the physical treatment she endured on the court. Think about the response or lack thereof from the league. Indiana senators were so outraged that they publicly called out the referees. There were discussions about potential civil rights violations. There were demands for investigations into whether Caitlin Clark was being deliberately targeted. Nothing came of it. The investigations went nowhere. The headlines faded, and the league continued operating as if nothing had happened. But here is what I believe is actually occurring behind the scenes. I believe the Department of Justice and the Trump administration are not ignoring this situation. I believe they are collecting information. They are building files. They are documenting every incident, every controversy, every questionable decision. And at some point, when the political timing is right, they are going to launch a comprehensive probe into the WNBA that will make these current investigations look like warm-up exercises. Would I want that to happen? Part of me recoils at the idea of federal investigations disrupting a professional sports league. But another part of me looks at how Caitlin Clark has been treated, looks at how fans have been dismissed, looks at how legitimate concerns have been ignored, and I think maybe outside intervention is the only path to accountability. Maybe the only way to fix what is broken is to bring in people who do not answer to the league's internal power structure. The WNBA is sitting on a powder keg. Every day that passes without meaningful reform, every day that the leadership continues down this path of tone-deaf decision-making, that powder keg gets closer to ignition. And when it finally explodes, the damage will be catastrophic and potentially irreparable. Now, I want to pivot to something that reminds us why this all matters so much. I want to talk about why the stakes are so incredibly high, because amidst all this chaos, amidst all this dysfunction, there is genuine magic happening in women's basketball, and that magic has a name. Caitlin Clark continues to transcend the sport. She continues to attract attention from corners of the entertainment world that have never paid attention to the WNBA before. Just recently, Samuel L. Jackson took to social media to celebrate spending time with Caitlin Clark. He called it basketball respect. He mentioned hanging with some of the best. He sent his love directly to the young star who has captured the imagination of sports fans across the country. Samuel L. Jackson, one of the most iconic actors of his generation, a man who has appeared in some of the highest-grossing films in cinema history. And he is publicly praising Caitlin Clark, celebrating her, elevating her profile even further. This is the kind of crossover appeal that sports leagues dream about. This is the kind of mainstream recognition that marketing departments spend millions trying to manufacture. And Caitlin Clark is generating it organically, just by being who she is. The two of them reportedly filmed a commercial together. Magic Johnson has been involved in supporting Caitlin Clark's rise. The biggest names in sports and entertainment are gravitating toward this young woman from Iowa who has become the face of women's basketball. The fans see it, they show up for it, they celebrate it every chance they get. When Samuel L. Jackson posted about Caitlin Clark, the responses flooded in. People were making Coach Carter references. They were joking about push-ups and demanding Spike Lee appear at March Madness. The energy was electric. The enthusiasm was palpable. This is what the WNBA should be building on. This is the foundation for a genuinely successful professional sports league. You have a transcendent star, you have growing mainstream interest, you have fans who are passionate and engaged, you have celebrities and cultural icons lending their credibility to the product. All the ingredients are there, all the pieces are in place, and yet somehow the league keeps finding ways to undermine its own success. The relocation of the Connecticut Sun is a perfect example of this self-sabotage. At the exact moment when the WNBA should be consolidating its gains, should be rewarding loyal fan bases, should be demonstrating that it values the communities that have supported it through the lean years, the league is ripping a franchise away from its home and triggering federal investigations in the process. This is not how you build a sustainable sports enterprise. This is not how you capitalize on momentum. This is how you alienate the very people you need most. The fans in Connecticut did not just show up when Caitlin Clark made the league popular. They showed up for years when nobody was watching. They supported the Sun through seasons when the arenas were half empty and the national spotlight was nowhere to be found. And now they're being told that their loyalty has an expiration date. The attempted relocation to Boston that fell through, the current deal to move to Houston, the political firestorm that has ensued, these are not the hallmarks of competent leadership. These are the symptoms of an organization that has lost its way. And let us talk about the leadership for a moment. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert appears to be going nowhere. Despite the mounting controversies, despite the growing chorus of criticism from fans, media, and now federal lawmakers, there is no indication that the league is considering a change at the top. The powers that be seem committed to this course, even as that course leads directly toward disaster. I want to be absolutely clear about something. I am not rooting against the WNBA. I want this league to succeed. I want women's basketball to flourish. I want young athletes to have a professional league where they can showcase their talents and earn a living doing what they love. I want the next generation of Caitlin Clarks to have a platform worthy of their abilities. But wanting something and seeing it happen are two entirely different things. And what I see right now is a league that seems determined to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. I see decision makers who appear oblivious to the consequences of their actions. I see a disconnect between the people running the league and the fans who support it that has grown into a chasm. The scrutiny from Congress is not going to disappear. We have now seen senators from Indiana speak out about officiating. We have seen Senator Blumenthal demand a federal investigation into the Connecticut Sun sale. We have seen countless media figures and commentators raise concerns about the direction of the league. This is not a single bad news cycle. This is a pattern. This is a trend. And trends in politics tend to build momentum. I genuinely believe that we are watching the early stages of something much larger. The information being gathered right now, the incidents being documented, the complaints being filed, all of this is building toward a potential major federal inquiry into the WNBA. Whether that comes from the DOJ, from congressional committees, or from some other agency, the groundwork is being laid. The foundation is being constructed. And when that investigation finally materializes, it is going to expose every questionable decision, every controversial transaction, every instance where the league prioritized short-term gain over long-term sustainability. The Connecticut Sun saga will play out over the coming months. The team will almost certainly be relocated to Houston. The Comet's name will be resurrected, and the fans who spent years building that franchise into something worth $300 million will be left with nothing but memories and resentment. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark will continue to be the brightest star in the sport. She will continue to attract celebrities and sponsors and mainstream attention. She will continue to represent everything that is right about women's basketball, even as the league around her continues to demonstrate everything that is wrong with professional sports management. The Caitlin Clark fans understand what is at stake. They show up for her relentlessly. They defend her on social media. They purchase merchandise. They fill arenas. They are the engine driving the current renaissance in WNBA interest. And they are watching in disbelief as the league squanders opportunity after opportunity. This is a pivotal moment. The decisions being made right now, the controversies unfolding in real time, the federal attention being attracted, all of this will shape the future of women's professional basketball for years to come. Will the WNBA rise to meet this moment? Will the leadership recognize the magnitude of their mistakes and change course? Will the league finally start operating like a professional sports organization instead of a dysfunctional family business? I wish I could tell you I was optimistic. I wish I could say that I see signs of improvement on the horizon. But based on everything we have witnessed, based on the pattern of behavior that has brought us to this point, I cannot summon that optimism. What I see is a league that keeps doubling down on its worst instincts. What I see is leadership that seems impervious to criticism. What I see is an organization that has been handed the greatest gift in its history, a transcendent star who has captured the nation's attention and somehow cannot figure out how to avoid stepping on its own feet. The clock is ticking, the senators are watching, the fans are growing increasingly frustrated, and somewhere in all of this chaos, Caitlin Clark is just trying to play basketball and wondering why it has to be this complicated. Tell me what you think in the comments. Do you believe these federal investigations will change anything? Do you think the Connecticut Sun relocation can be stopped? Do you have any faith left in the WNBA's leadership? Sound off below because this conversation is just getting started. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because this story is going to evolve rapidly in the coming weeks, and you are going to want to stay informed. The WNBA is at a crossroads. The decisions made now will determine whether this league thrives or collapses under the weight of its own dysfunction. I will see you in the next one. Peace.